Okay, so let's talk about substitution. I know, we're focused. I know, it's a weird day, it's rainy, it's gross, but we still got a math. So when we are graphing, I always told you get y by itself, slope-intercept form. Okay, still kind of true when we do substitution, but you can get x or y by itself when we're using substitution. It doesn't have to be y. There's one that's going to be easier in each problem, and I'll explain how you would know that.
So are we copying this on paper, or are we just doing the problem?
You might want to do this little top part in your OneNote, because that's just typing. That should be super easy. But like when we start working the problems, I might do those on your paper. So step 2 and step 3 are the same exact thing. You're going to substitute, hence the name substitution, and solve to get one of the variables. And to get the other variable, we have to, again, substitute and solve. Because remember, when we're graphing, a solution was x comma y. There were two numbers. Same thing's going to happen here. Our answer is going to be some x and some y value. Nice. Okay, so before we actually use substitution, I want you to go to Desmos, and we're going to graph these two equations on number 1 on Desmos. So the first one is y equals 4x minus 1, I think. Bless you.
Salute.
That what the first one is? Okay. And then y equals minus 5. And you should be able to click on the point where they cross and like the coordinate should show up. So let me know if that doesn't happen. You do not. Mm-mm. If you just put 4x minus 1, then it would still work the same. That's as long as the y is by itself. If it wasn't, then that would not be the case. Huh? So if you needed to, like if I had to do like 4/3 x, you would just hit the division symbol and it'll give you a fraction bar.
So when would you have to put the y equals
like if it was like, if the equation, if you look at number 2, so see how, I think it's I can't remember if it's the first or the second. The second equation does not have y by itself. So we would have to enter that entire equation, like it says. Yeah, it like automatically knows how to graph it, yeah. Okay, so where do these two lines cross each other? At -2, -9. So spoiler alert, stop Siri. Stop. Thank you. That's the answer to this problem. -2, -9. Now, we got that by graphing. We want to be able to find that answer without using a graph. And what we're going to do is we're going to use a method called substitution. So in this first question, y is equal to 4x minus 1 and y is equal to 2x minus 5. So what we can do is we can set those two things equal to each other, which is similar to what we were doing on Wednesday, to solve for our x value. Yes, I know the x value is -2. We already know that, but we're just going to prove it. So we could do a couple things. I'm going to encourage you to subtract 2x from both sides first. Don't have to, but that would just be the first thing I would do. So 4x minus 2x is 2x. And then we're still left with -1 What happens to the other two x's? They cancel, and you're left with just -5. And that's a two-step equation. So we want to add 1. And that gives us 2x equals -4. And then if we divide both sides by 2, x equals -2. Unclear, Graham. -2. Yay!
Nice.
I think you took 5 divided by 2. Yeah. You got to add the 1 first. So that's only half of our answer. How do we get the other half? The -9. Yes, I know it's -9. Zion, what should I do?
Oh, wait.
Oh, you seemed so confident.
I know. You add.
Oh, we're gonna maybe
Something with Y.
something with y. Yes.
I kind of forgot.
Okay, that's cool. Does anybody have an idea of how we could use this to find out what y would equal? Madison.
You substitute the x's for -2.
Okay, so we could substitute the x for -2. Which x?
Both of them.
We could use both. We only need to use one. So pick one. Okay, so if we substitute this value, we know that x is equal to what number? We just found it. -2. So we want to substitute -2 in for x. So 4 times -2 would be -8. -8 minus 1 equals -9. Wow.
What?
So graphically, we found that they cross at -2, -9. And now algebraically, we found that they still cross at -2, -9.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Crazy.
That's like.
And even more crazy, we could use the second equation. Y equals 2 times -2 minus 5. -4 minus 5 still equals -9. I think it's cool. Y'all don't have to think it's cool. Okay, so I agree. I like doing this way better than graphing. But if you like graphing, that's fine. But you still need to know how to do this. But usually people prefer definitely one way or the other. There's also a third way, spoiler alert, called elimination that we will do on Thursday.
Oh,
I like elimination the best.
so we should learn that.
We will on Thursday.
Will we learn it before the quiz?
No, after the quiz.
Elimination.
Okay, so if we look at number 2, it says y equals 6x and 2x plus 3y equals -20. So we're going to graph at the end. Don't graph yet. We're just going to use graphing to check to see if we're right. So we know that our y's are all worth 6x. So that means in our second equation, wherever we see a y, we can replace it with 6x. So we have 2x still. I'm just copying that second equation. 2x plus 3. But again, instead of writing y, we want to write not 6y, 6x. And all of that is going to equal -20. So what is the first thing I should do? Yeah, distribute or multiply 3 times 6x, which would be 18x plus 2x equals -20. What else? Before that, do you see anything else? Combine like terms, good, Graham. 2x and 18x is 20x. So then we could divide by 20 and x would equal -1. Divide by 20.
So now we just do that same.
So now, Enrique, what do?
We just replace all the x's with negative.
Okay, which one? The first one or the second one?
First. No, the second one.
It doesn't matter.
Oh.
It doesn't matter. Which one looks a lot easier? Yeah, so that's the one we're going to use. So we're gonna replace x with -1 in that first equation. So y equals -6.
No way.
So it would be 6
Why?
negative 1.
Good question. So when we write, we're listening. When we write a point, which value would come first? The x. So it'd be -1, -6 would be the answer. That's how I would prefer you to write your answer as a coordinate. And now I want you to graph it. Go to Desmos. Go to those two original equations. Make sure that they're crossing at -1, -6. And then get excited if they do.
Okay, I'll get excited.
Get excited. Get excited for apples and caramels.
That sounds alright. Cool, is it right?
He's excited because they cross at the same place.
Yeah.
Wait. I did something wrong.
Yeah, I typed mine in wrong earlier and I thought I was wrong, but I wasn't.
Whoa.
What are you not getting?
Need help, Esteban.
Make sure that your equations are correct first.
Yes.
Mine aren't working.
Yeah, mine is being weird. It says
It's
negative.
giving me like 3 points.
It's because
I
y'all's
know.
computers.
So you got to make sure you're clicking on the point where they cross. You may need to zoom in a little
I
bit.
got -1, -6.
That's right.
That's right.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. I forgot to put the negative.
What's the second one? 2x plus 3y equals -20. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
So you're worried about, oh, see, I messed
Oh,
up.
yeah.
3y.
Mine is.
So you're worried about the point where they cross each other, which is -1, -6. Woohoo! Oh, yeah. Want to try another one?
Yes.
Number 4. I know I skipped number 3 for a reason.
I really thought it was gonna be that hard.
It's not horrible.
It's not the hardest thing.
Okay, number 4. Number 4 says x equals 4y plus 7. And the second equation says 2x minus 6y equals 12. So we're going to take this entire thing, 4y plus 7, and we're going to replace it with where? Where are we going to put it?
And
For
that's
x. Right, because it says x equals. The other one we did said y equals. So this one says x equals. That means we need to put it where the x is. So 2 times 4y plus 7 minus 6y equals 12. And I used parentheses for a reason. And I'll talk about that. But just make sure you set it up with those parentheses. Why are those parentheses important? Mucho importante.
You're replacing it for x and not.
Because I need to multiply the whole entire thing by 2. A lot of you would have written this.
No.
All, if not all, most, if not all of you would have written that.
No.
What's the difference between those two things? Yeah, in the second one, I'm just multiplying the 4y times 2. In the first one, I'm multiplying 4y and 7 times 2. So you need to use the first way. So we want to distribute 2 to get 8y plus 14 minus 6y equals 12. Then what?
Combine it.
Yes. 2y plus 14 equals 12.
Huh? Oh,
It's a minus, yeah. Got to pay attention to the signs. Then we would subtract 14 to get 2y equals -2. So y would equal -1. You're so smart. Uh-oh.
What
Okay.
is
It's just
Okay, so then
Yep.
we got to find x. Which equation do you want to use? Same. I would use the first one as well. It does not matter. I can't stress it enough. It does not matter. But I would use the second one. So 4 times -1 plus 7 would be -4 plus 7, which would be 3. How do I write my answer? 3, -1.
Too easy. Wow. It's big brain.
This is all this is it, right? There's not gonna be any like 3-step ones, right?
Only after that's
Go ahead and do number 3.
Number 3.
I want to see your answer when you're done with number 3. So you should have substituted x plus 9 in for y, and then got 3x plus 8x plus 72 equals -5. And then 11x plus 72 equals -5. And a lot of you messed this up too. -5 minus 72 is -77.
I got that one.
And x would equal -7. And to get our y value, we substitute it back in there by adding 9 to get y equals 2. So your coordinate was -7, +2. And again, I didn't ask you to graph it, but if you did, that's where the two lines would cross each other at -7, +2.
How does your brain
How does my brain work?
process all of that on your screen?
I can
My brain
process
can
it.
process
3x
because
plus
I have
8.
I don't know.
squiggly.
In the parentheses. X.
So Renee had a great question.
No.
So is that
Why didn't
it?
you ask?
Well, yes, kind of, but
There's more. But wait.
just a little, like that much more, just a little bit, not anything intense. So look at number 5, just like a smidge more.
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, wait a minute.
I don't like that.
So on number 5, the issue is neither one of those have a variable all by itself on one side. So on number 1, the y's were both by themselves. On number 2, the y was by itself. On number 3, the x is already by itself. This one, we have to do something before we can substitute. It's not bad. We get to choose though, which variable, there's 4 of them. There's an x on the top, a y on the top, an x on the bottom, y on the bottom. Which one do you want to get by itself?
One on the top.
Top one.
Why?
Because it's cooler.
Okay, because it's cooler. So there's strategy here. There is one that is going to make our lives a lot easier.
Okay, so top.
Which one? There's an x and a y.
X.
It's gonna be
Y.
Oh, it's gonna be the second one because the number comes with both of them, right?
No.
Or there's a variable.
Why?
that what-
Because
the numbers.
Why? Because what?
Because it equals -2.
It is already by itself. Everybody look at that top y.
Oh.
It does not have a, well, it has a coefficient of 1. But that's not going to change anything. So you want to find the variable that has a coefficient of 1, and that's the one you want to get by itself. So if we were talking about number 6, the bottom
The
y,
bottom one and then.
Number 7. top x, yes. So we're looking for the one that has a coefficient by itself. So let's concentrate on that first. So 2x plus y equals -2. That's the top equation. We're trying to get y by itself. And to do that, we're going to subtract x, 2x. I'll tell you in that. Oh, give me 1 second, Johnson. I'll answer that question. Minus 2x on both sides to get y equals -2 minus 2x. So Jonathan had a great question. What if there isn't a variable that has a coefficient of 1? Then we would not use this strategy. We would use elimination, which we're going to learn on Wednesday. So if I'm intending you to use substitution, there will be a variable that has a coefficient of 1. So we're going to take -2 minus 2x, and we're going to replace that second equation where y is. So for the second equation, we're going to rewrite it as 5x plus 3 But instead of writing y, we're gonna write -2 minus 2x, and all of that is gonna equal -8. No, yeah, it's just like one little extra step. We had to do one thing before we could substitute. So go ahead and finish calculating what x equals, and then try and use that to find out what y equals. 5x minus 6x is -1x or -x.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, I knew that one. Keep saying. Actually, I'm at that part. Like I
So you want to add 6, excuse me, to get -1x equals -2. So it's 2. We divide both sides by -1, x equals 2.
And then you just do.
Okay, so pause for a second. We could pick one of the first 2 original equations, or we could substitute it back in here. The -2 minus 2, -2 minus 2x. We are allowed to use that one too. I would use that one because it's a lot easier. So I'm going to take 2 and substitute it in for x right here. And I'm going to calculate my y value. So -2 minus 4 would be -6. So my coordinate would be 2, -6. X was 2, y was -6.
You've given me 30 more seconds.
I get this.
Oh, just yell at me. Or just say, Miss Im can stop, and I'll stop. Okay, we're gonna do one more as a team, and then I'm gonna let you do 2 on your own.
Oh.
We're gonna do numero 9.
Oh. 9 just doesn't sound like you good.
In general, it's the thing that the number. The topic has the.
It's funny that these sessions are because this class is right next to each other. Like
Um,
Spanish and
In English.
English.
Okay, so which of those 4 variables should we get by itself? Which one? Bottom y. So right now that bottom y is being added by 2x. So we want to subtract 2x to get y equals 18 minus 2x. So we want to take this 18 minus 2x. We're going to put it up in the first equation where y is. That says 6x plus 3, and then in parentheses, 18 minus 2x equals 54. Now what? Distribute 6x plus 3 times 18.
54.
Yeah.
I totally didn't put that in my calculator.
3 times minus 2x is minus 6x equals 54. Yeah.
Hey, I think it's gonna.
So be 54 equals 54. It's not 1. It's not undefined.
It's 0.
Nope. Solutions.
Oh.
Infinite solutions, which if we're talking about lines, they're the same exact line. Gives infinite solutions. How do we know that? Well, guys, I want you to go back and look at the original 2 equations.
Oh. It makes so much sense when I look at it. I remember.
I don't.
So do you see a relationship between those 2 equations at all?
Yes.
What is it?
They're 2 times. They're multiples of each other.
They are multiples of each other.
I don't know.
If we multiplied the entire bottom equation by 3, we would get the top equation. 2x times 3 is 6x. Y times 3 is 3y. 18 times 3 is 54.
Wow.
Because that's true, our answer is going to be infinite solutions.
I remember.
Yes. Good. I'm glad. So how do we know that it's infinite and not a number? Well, what happened to our variables? Went away. So if we ended up with a number equaling the same number, it'd be infinite solutions, meaning if we graph these, they would be the exact same line. So using that knowledge, I want you to try number 7. Okay, so let's talk about why math is so cool. So first, let's solve this, which is the boring part. So 3 times 4 minus 5y plus 15y equals -1. And then you distribute your 3 to get 12 minus 15y plus 15y equals -1. So my 15y's go away. So I'm left with 12 equals -1, which is not true. So that means there's no solution. What kind of lines have no solution? Well, they're all straight, right? Parallel, yeah. They could be in whatever direction we want as long as they're parallel. So if we were to graph these 2 lines, they would be parallel. Now, just like infinite solution, I can tell if it's no solution from the equations. So what could we multiply that first equation by to get the second part of the second one? 3. So let's do that. This would equal 3x. This would equal 15y. This would equal 12. Does 12 equal -1? No. So it's no solution. And notice our answer ended up being 12 equals -1. Oh my gosh. Well, we have to solve it if it's one solution to be able to figure out what the x and the y value are. But we can easily tell if it's going to be no solution or infinite solution or even 1. So like if I looked at number 8, is there any number, single number, I could multiply that first equation by to get everything in the second equation? No. If I multiplied by 3, I would get 3x plus 12y. That would not give me the same exact x and y values. So I would know that that has one solution. We already talked about number 9. If I look at number 10, if I multiplied that first equation by 10, I would get 10x, but then I would get -30y. So I know that that system has one solution, and I would have to go through and calculate what the solution is. Okay.